Have you stopped to think that a simple egg, that's food which for years has been a pillar of our breakfast, could be the silent architect of the mental fog you feel every day? And what if I told you that the exact way you break that egg into the pan every morning could be literally burning your most precious memories? I'm not talking about an exaggeration, but a harsh biochemical reality that most people ignore. After the age of 60, our brain does not forgive. Every choice, every bite, every drop of oil becomes a vote for or against our lucidity. What you put on your plate at the start of the day can be the difference between an agile mind and a memory that fades into oblivion. I am Dr. Cezar Villarreal, a specialist in brain health and cognitive longevity. For over 2 decades, I have guided men and women, people like you, through the labyrinth of aging, helping them recover and protect their most valuable asset, a clear mind and a robust memory. In this video, I won't be giving you generic advice. I'm going to reveal the cardinal error, the most common and devastating when consuming eggs, an error directly linked to the acceleration of memory loss in older individuals. You will understand the science that many professionals, due to lack of time or specialization, don't explain to you. And most crucially, you will discover what tiny change you can implement today to fortify your mind. I will show you step by step how to transform the egg from a potential saboteur into your most powerful ally for memory, without sacrificing the pleasure of eating. If you've noticed words escaping you, familiar names lingering on the tip of your tongue, or if you simply feel your mind no longer has the spark it once did, this video is not a coincidence. It's a necessity. It could be the turning point your mental health has been waiting for. But before I reveal this fatal error, I want you to pause and reflect. Go right now to the comments and tell me with complete honesty, how do you usually prepare yours in the morning? Fried, scrambled, boiled? And what do you have with them? Your answer is the first step towards awareness. I'm immensely curious to know how far this health message is reaching, so please also add from which city or country you are watching me. And if you feel this topic is important, subscribe now and activate the bell, because the information you will receive today can change the game for your future. Don't go, because what you're about to discover is too important to miss. For decades, the egg was a nutritional villain. And we were bombarded with the idea that its cholesterol was poison for our arteries. Then, like a pendulum, science retracted and crowned it a superfood. This confusion left millions of people disoriented, not knowing what to believe. But the truth, far from sensationalist headlines, is much more nuanced and fascinating. Yes, eggs have a direct and profound relationship with your brain health, and this connection has a key name. Imagine choline as the chief architect of your memories. It's an essential nutrient dramatically concentrated in the egg yolk. Its primary function is to serve as raw material for acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that acts as the main messenger in processes of memory, learning, concentration, and reasoning. Without adequate levels of acetylcholine, your brain is like an orchestra without a conductor. Neurons try to communicate, but the message gets lost, distorted, information enters, but isn't consolidated. Short-term memories struggle to become long-term memories. That tip-of-the-tongue sensation is often a sign that this neural communication isn't as fluid as it should be. Now, pay close attention to this point, because it's the core of the problem we face after 60. Our liver can produce a small amount of choline on its own. It's a survival mechanism. However, this internal production is minimal, and what's worse, it drastically declines with age. From 60 onwards, our body's capacity to synthesize choline is insufficient for the demands of a brain that needs to stay active and constantly repair itself. Therefore, we become almost completely dependent on diet to obtain this vital nutrient. And this is where eggs come into play as one of the richest, most bioavailable and accessible sources of choline. And this is a gigantic but. Not everything is as simple as it seems. The way you cook that egg can determine whether the choline becomes the brick that builds your memory, or if it transforms into useless residue, or even worse, part of an inflammatory cocktail. Therein lies the silent danger. Millions of people believe they are making a healthy choice by including eggs in their diet, but they make subtle, almost invisible mistakes that completely nullify the brain benefits, and in some cases even cause net harm. Have you ever wondered if the oil sizzling in your pan is oxidizing the nutrients in the yolk? Or if that accompaniment you love so much could be creating a state of inflammation that prevents choline from reaching your brain? These are not trivial questions. These are the questions that define the trajectory of your cognitive health in the years to come. And throughout this video, I will give you the clear and direct answers you need. The egg yolk, that golden sun that many discard for fear of fat, is actually a nutritional treasure for the brain. As we've said, it's one of the most potent sources of choline. But what exactly happens if we sabotage this gift of nature? The problem is, after 60, there's no room for error. Our body no longer has the same recovery capacity. The digestive system becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients. The brain's protective barriers, like the blood-brain barrier, can become more permeable to inflammatory substances. Every dietary error counts, and its effects accumulate. The most common error, the one I see repeated again and again in my patients before they come to my office, is so common it seems harmless. It's the act of frying the egg. But not just any frying. The real villain is the oil it's fried in. Refined vegetable oils like sunflower, corn, soy, or canola are ubiquitous in our kitchens. They are cheap, have a high smoke point, and have been sold to us as heart healthy. Nothing could be further from the truth for your brain. When these oils, rich in omega-6 fatty acids, are heated to high temperatures, they undergo an oxidation process. They transform chemically and generate toxic and highly inflammatory compounds, such as aldehydes and lipid peroxides. By frying the delicate egg yolk in this bath of oxidized oil, you are doing three terrible things at once. First, you are destroying a portion of the valuable choline and other heat-sensitive nutrients. Second, you are enveloping the remaining nutrients in a pro-inflammatory fat matrix that hinders their absorption. And third, and this is the most serious, you are introducing into your body a load of inflammatory compounds that will travel through your bloodstream directly to your brain. It's as if instead of delivering to your brain the bricks to build memories, you were throwing small incendiary bombs that damage existing structures. This low-grade inflammation, or silent neuroinflammation, is one of the main drivers of cognitive decline. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause fever. It doesn't show up in a routine blood test. But day after day, breakfast after breakfast, it erodes neural connections, damages mitochondria, the powerhouses of brain cells, and promotes the accumulation of anomalous proteins, such as beta-amyloid, associated with diseases like Alzheimer's. Another error derived from the old fat phobia is discarding the yolk and consuming only the white, thinking it's a light and healthier option. You're making a serious strategic mistake for your brain. The white is primarily protein, albumin, which is fine, but you're throwing away the choline, lutein, zeaxanthin, and fat-soluble vitamins that are crucial for cognitive function and eye health. It's like buying a luxury car for its engine and then removing the engine to lighten the weight. It makes no sense if your goal is brain health. And here comes the knockout blow, the combination that turns a potentially beneficial breakfast into a real ticking time bomb for your memory, combining that egg, often fried in the wrong oil, with processed meats, bacon, sausages, ham. These products are not simply meat. They are a cocktail of poor quality saturated fats, excess sodium, preservatives like nitrites and nitrates, and advanced glycation end products formed during their high temperature processing. This mixture generates an inflammatory tsunami in your body. It overloads your digestive system, spikes insulin levels if accompanied by white bread, and subjects your brain to massive oxidative stress. Many people believe they are having a high protein and filling breakfast, but in reality they are laying the groundwork for afternoon mental fog and long-term cognitive decline. If you want to protect your memory, you must adopt a strategic vision. It's not just about including good foods. It's about understanding synergy, preparation, and combination. An egg can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and the difference lies in these details that from today you will no longer ignore. From the age of 60, the brain enters a new phase. Neuroplasticity, the ability to form new connections, although still present, slows down. The rate of cellular renewal decreases. Cerebral microcirculation can be compromised. The endogenous production of antioxidants like glutathione is reduced. This makes the brain a much more vulnerable organ to oxidative stress and inflammation. That's why an inflammatory breakfast that at 30 could be metabolized with relative ease, at 65 becomes a direct insult to your neurons. Damage accumulates faster and the capacity for repair is lower. The scientific studies on this are overwhelming. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed almost 2,500 men for over 20 years and found that those with a higher choline intake, primarily from eggs, had significantly better performance in memory and cognitive function tests. Furthermore, they had a 28% lower risk of developing dementia. But the devil is in the details. The benefits are associated with an overall healthy dietary pattern, not the consumption of isolated eggs in a sea of pro-inflammatory foods. Another fascinating study from the University of Eastern Finland showed that regular egg consumption was associated with a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. Researchers speculated that choline could protect the brain by reducing homocysteine levels, an amino acid that is toxic to neurons at high levels, and by decreasing inflammation. However, science also warns us of the danger when choline is consumed in a context of high inflammation, such as in a breakfast with eggs fried in sunflower oil and bacon. Its absorption and utilization can be hindered. What's more, systemic inflammation itself can damage the blood-brain barrier, allowing unwanted compounds to enter the delicate brain environment and making it difficult for essential nutrients like choline to reach where they are most needed. It is no exaggeration to state that at this age, every meal is a critical decision. You are either fueling neurogenesis and synaptogenesis, the creation of new neurons and connections, or you are fueling neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. I remember with perfect clarity the case of Antonio, a 67-year-old patient who came to my office visibly concerned. He was a retired engineer from Valencia, a methodical man proud of his logical mind. His breakfast for over 40 years had been the same: 2 eggs fried in sunflower oil, a few slices of fried Serrano ham, and 2 slices of white bread to dip in the yolk. He believed it was a strong, old-fashioned breakfast that gave him energy. He didn't eat sweets, walked an hour every day, and didn't drink alcohol. According to him, he led a healthy life. But his memory was failing him. It started with small things, forgetting where he parked his car, not remembering the name of the actor in his favorite movie. Then it became more serious. In the middle of a conversation, he would draw a blank, unable to find the word he was looking for. One day he got lost returning home from the supermarket, a route he had taken thousands of times. That's what brought him to my office. Terrified, cognitive tests showed a mild but evident decline. When we analyzed his diet and blood tests, we saw slightly elevated markers of low-grade inflammation. His breakfast, seemingly harmless and traditional, was a daily and constant source of oxidative stress for his brain. The oxidized fats from the oil, the nitrites from the ham, and the glucose spike from the white bread were creating the perfect environment for neuronal deterioration. Antonio had no idea that his morning ritual, his source of energy, was slowly erasing the map of his own life. It was a tough blow for him, but also the beginning of his recovery. We radically changed that breakfast, and the results over time were astonishing. Antonio's story is that of millions of people. Few associate inflammation with memory. We associate it with a swollen knee, with arthritis, but neuroinflammation is the silent enemy. It's a slow, persistent fire inside your skull, and one of its main causes is precisely the intake of wrong fats and food combinations that promote oxidation. When the very egg, a potential source of life for your brain, is prepared incorrectly, it becomes a Trojan horse that introduces inflammation into the citadel of your mind. Science has clearly identified the culprits. A study published in the journal Neurology found that people with higher levels of trans fats in their blood, common in hydrogenated vegetable oils and ultra-processed foods, had a greater risk of developing dementia. Another study showed that diets high in saturated fats and processed foods were linked to atrophy of the hippocampus, the brain region, crucial for forming new memories. It's not just about choline, it's about the environment in which choline has to work. If the environment is hostile, inflamed, and full of free radicals, even the best nutrients will struggle to perform their function. Now that you understand the magnitude of the problem, the question is, how do we solve it? Should we give up eggs? Absolutely not. That would be like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Eggs are an extraordinary food for the brain, but they must be treated with the respect your mind deserves. Here I present the steel brain protocol for consuming eggs and boosting your memory. First, the cooking method is king. Just forget frying in refined vegetable oils. The best options are boiled or soft-boiled eggs. Mola. Cooking in water is gentle and doesn't generate toxic compounds. The ideal point for a soft-boiled egg is between 6 and 7 minutes. This allows the white to be fully cooked, eliminating any bacterial risk, while the yolk remains slightly creamy and soft. An overcooked yolk which turns grayish and dry has lost some of its properties and its choline is less bioavailable. Other excellent options are poached eggs or scrambled eggs cooked over very, very low heat. Second, if you decide to use a pan, the fat matters most of all. The only fat you should use is a small amount of high-quality extra virgin olive oil or even a little virgin coconut oil or ghee, clarified butter, and always over low or medium heat. The goal is not to fry but to saute gently. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in polyphenols and oleocanthal, compounds with powerful anti-inflammatory properties that protect your brain. Third, combinations are key for synergy. Forever abandon the idea of combining eggs with processed meats or white bread. Instead, create a power plate for your brain. Combine your eggs with avocado, rich in healthy monounsaturated fats and potassium, which aid brain circulation. Sautéed spinach or kale, full of antioxidants, folate, and vitamin K, essential nutrients for neuronal protection. Cherry tomatoes or roasted bell peppers, sources of lycopene and vitamin C, powerful antioxidants that combat oxidative stress. Mushrooms sautéed with garlic and parsley. Mushrooms contain ergothionein, an antioxidant linked to a lower risk of cognitive decline. A handful of ground chia or flax seeds sprinkled on top for an extra boost of fiber and plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. Fourth, quantity matters. For most healthy older adults, 1 or 2 eggs a day is a safe and beneficial amount. There's no need to overdo it. Consistency is key, not massive quantity. Dietary balance is fundamental. Fifth, timing of consumption. Breakfast or lunch are the ideal times. Eating a meal rich in protein and fats, like eggs in the morning, helps stabilize blood sugar throughout the day, preventing energy spikes and crashes that lead to mental fog. At night, metabolism slows down, and a heavy meal can interfere with sleep quality, which is absolutely crucial for memory consolidation. By following these 5 simple steps, you transform a potentially harmful breakfast into a daily treatment for your brain. It's not a diet, it's a cognitive longevity strategy. But protecting your memory goes beyond a single food. The brain is a complex ecosystem. For it to function optimally, it needs a comprehensive approach. These are the additional habits that are non-negotiable and that I instill in all my patients. First, eat a rainbow of plants. In addition to well-prepared eggs, your diet should be rich in brightly colored plant foods. Blueberries, blackberries, pomegranates, anthocyanins, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, sulforaphane, turmeric, curcumin. Each color represents different antioxidants and phytonutrients that protect your brain from different angles. Second, prioritize omega-3. The brain is largely composed of fat, and docosahexaenoic acid, a type of omega-3, is its most important structural component. Consume small, fatty fish, like sardines, anchovies, or wild salmon 2 or 3 times a week. Third, move with intention. Exercise isn't just for muscles. It's the most powerful stimulus for the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which I call the fertilizer for neurons. A brisk walk of 30 to 40 minutes a day is enough to increase blood flow to the brain, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the growth of new brain cells. Fourth, sleep to remember. Sleep is not a luxury, it's an essential biological brain cleansing function. During deep sleep, your brain's lymphatic system activates to remove metabolic waste and toxic proteins that accumulate during the day. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night is non-negotiable. Fifth, constantly challenge your mind. Comfort is the enemy of cognition. Learn a new language, how to play an instrument, read books on subjects you don't master, do crosswords, Sudoku, novelty and challenge, create new neural pathways, and build what we call cognitive reserve, a buffer against age-related damage. 6. Cultivate social connection. Isolation is as toxic for the brain as a bad diet. Meaningful social interactions stimulate multiple brain areas, reduce stress, and give a sense of purpose. Call a friend, join a club, chat with your neighbors. Laughing, debating, and sharing are powerful medicines. Memory is not just a function, it's the essence of who we are. It's the fabric of our history, the sum of our experiences, loves, and learnings. Losing it is not an inevitable consequence of aging. Often it's the result of a series of small daily errors that accumulate over years. And today we have unraveled one of the most insidious and common ones, the error when eating eggs. You have learned that it's not the egg itself, but how we prepare it and what we combine it with. We've talked about pollen as the architect of memory. Neuroinflammation is the silent enemy, and the power of a simple change in your pan. We saw Antonio's story, a mirror in which many can see themselves reflected, but also a beacon of hope demonstrating that change is possible. The brain has an astonishing capacity for recovery, even in advanced stages of life. But it needs you to give it the right tools. It needs you to make conscious, informed, and deliberate decisions. From today, every time you see an egg, you won't just see food. You will see a choice. The choice between nourishing or inflaming your brain. The choice between protecting or eroding your memories. Reflect for a moment on this. Your personal story, the faces of your loved ones, the lessons learned, all reside in the delicate network of your neurons. Protecting that network is not an option. It is the greatest responsibility you have to yourself. I am Dr. Cezar Villarreal. If this video has provided you with value, if it has lit a light on your path to better brain health, I ask you to do 3 very simple but very powerful things. Like this video so more people can find it, share it with someone you love and whose memory you want to protect, and leave me a comment telling me what the most important change you will implement starting today is. Your participation fuels this community and helps us spread this vital message. Taking care of your memory is the deepest act of self-love, and you still have a whole life ahead to remember and to create new memories. See you in the next video.